this is the point where I actually paused the film just to step back and imagine that Salman Khan was the actor here, and this was his film as the lead. Me and many like me have never associated Salman Khan with such derived and intense cinema. We all have associated him with the larger than life actor who probably defines stardom in today's terms. So that was my primary reason to take a pause. Really let this feeling sink in. So seeing this actor perform this character, which is so dissociated from his earlier work, I don't think he has done anything which is even remotely close to what he's trying to do in this film. But the crazy part is that he is convincing. So throughout the film, I was convinced that Lakshman is a simpleton who is just maybe slower than most of us, maybe. Nowhere does the swag even drop in for a frame. The way he walks, runs, hides, is uncomfortable to express himself. It's just totally opposite of all the things we have seen and have become so accustomed to whenever the name Salman Khan comes into the picture. So yes, the film was not the biggest hit of his career. It might not even have been close to the box office record-crushing machine hit which most of his other films are. But somewhere this film might be very special for him, because there is something that he did with this film which he might not have done with any other film prior or maybe after. And that thing is explore himself as an actor. So talking about the film itself, it's not a great film per se. Yes, there are plenty of flaws in the film, but the biggest one I see is the editing. The film's primary subject is belief. But that's not the core issue of the film. The core issue of the film is conflict resolution. So any premise that a film revolves around primarily on the protagonist, where the protagonist has a conflict and then there's a linear resolution to that conflict. The challenges faced, the obstacles overcome, and all these things contribute to the interesting bits of the story, and the resolution is always the payoff, the high point of the film. So Tube Light sets up the conflicts very well. So initial half of the film is dedicated towards setting up this conflict for Lakshman to technically resolve in the second half. So there is a war between India and China going on, and this is very well portrayed here because it's shown in parts just to add flavor to the film, just to make us understand what is the dimension of this film. This is not a war film, so they don't show much parts of it, but they show just enough to make sure that we are gripped by the seriousness of the situation. The prejudice which comes along with this war is also portrayed really well, where people who are from Chinese descendants, although Indian, are being singled out, or there's hate amongst the people against them. So these conflicts are set up really well, and the perception is very well presented, where we see these conflicts through the eyes of Lakshman, who is a simpleton, who sees things in a very simple way, almost comical to say. So yes, the setting up of the conflicts is really good, but the problem is the resolution. The resolution is almost self-serving. It does not resolve based on what actions Lakshman does. It's rather a consequence of maybe time, maybe some other things, and just simple coincidences. The problem with Tube Light then comes into the picture. What is the lesson? What is the change that the protagonist went through to raise himself above and to resolve this conflict? So we only see this bit where he is believing in himself, and he absolutely believes that if he puts all his faith into one thing, that thing basically happens. So this is a remake of the 2015 film Little Boy, which has kind of a similar premise, but the only difference is the relationship that is portrayed over there is father and son. Here they are brothers. So this is a very odd film for Salman Khan to choose and to execute as well. So yes, the point being that this was maybe Salman Khan's riskiest film till date, because he deviates totally from what is expected of him as a superstar. So let's just look at the release that he does right after Tube Light. It's within a year. It's Race 3. So yeah, I mean, who's complaining? But my point here is that the biggest superstar in your industry takes the biggest risk at his peak, and he tries something extremely different. I understand if it's a variation of something that he's already known to do, yeah, that would be okay. But he does something which is completely different and not even expected of him. So I really believe that if somebody at his stature, at his level of stardom can take that risk, then it speaks volumes about the industry itself. And not only the industry, the people who are reciprocating to such kind of cinema. Yes, the film might be bad. Yes, the film might not have worked on terms which was expected, but at least they gave it a try. At least it made 100 crores. So it's not a failure. It's not a commercial failure. But yes, it was a critical failure. The people also kind of seemed to be dejected by it because maybe they had some certain other expectations from it. So yes, I do give absolute credit to Salman Khan for trying to do something different, something maybe a little bit out of his league, something which might have been different. The film might have worked if it was maybe edited better. Some other things, some other factors might have worked in favor of Salman Khan, but kudos to him for actually giving it a try. And for me personally, I believe that the risk is maybe paying off because some certain section of the audience did like this film, did like his performance, and were appreciative of what he was trying to do, what he was trying to express himself as an actor. So I really feel for people who come out and then blame the commercial films that superstar does, but then they don't come out and support films that they are trying to deviate with or trying to experiment with. So yes, we cannot be crying on both these things. We can only cry on one of them and appreciate the other thing. So that's what I felt about this certainty of risk that Mr. Salman Khan took with this film. If you feel that there's a different opinion to it, if there's something that I'm not catching on to or something I'm totally catching wrong, please add yourself into the comments and tell me. Let's make this a conversation and see what your views and opinions about this particular film is. If you haven't seen it, I would really recommend it. Have a watch, look at it once. Maybe you can look at Little Boy after this.